I'll send them to school with Lisa.
Oh, that's nice. Good.
Okay. Let me set this camera a little bit better, and we will get started pretty soon.
Yeah, so it's beautiful up here too, and you know, ready to do some. Now we need some scent, like we said, we need some scent on the screen.
Some sound. Oh, I know. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Little smell-o-vision here in a good way.
Actually, I'm having my kids stay over this weekend, so you know this would be something good to have.
Oh yeah, they're not hard to make, and once you try these, they are exceptional brownies. So you're really gonna, like I said, it's not difficult to make them, but they are really worth it. I really don't have anything there. I think I don't have to show. It can be all pan today. Yep. Okay, good. All right, so we're pretty good. I have a little bit of an ear infection.
Oh.
So this ear is I can't hear quite as well.
Oh, no.
I keep thinking like I don't have stuff on loud enough. So.
Oh, geez. Yeah, you better turn it up.
Well, no, I can hear it pretty good. It's just I keep thinking though it's like muted a little. So if you see me doing this all the time, it's like I'm trying to get water out of my ears. It's crazy.
Oh, okay. So you're not just not listening to me.
No. It's just a kind of a reflex. You know, when you are that way, the reflex is to go to shake the water out. But I've been putting drops.
You sound like you have a little bit of a cold.
I feel like I've been fighting that for the past few days.
Yeah, I can hear it.
I don't know if it's a cold as much as allergies or what, the change in the season. You know, everybody gets sick around the change of the season. But so today we are going to make my favorite chocolate brownies. And I think the first time I looked at this recipe and I saw that it was made with cocoa, I wasn't sure, because I thought that all really good chocolate brownies had to be made with real chocolate, you know, with the melted down chocolate to get that really richness. And boy, was I mistaken. And everybody I've made these for has absolutely loved them.
Well, how long have you been making this recipe?
This recipe I've been making probably for about 3 or 4 years, I guess. And I have changed it up a bit. And then my latest incarnation of it was a triple chocolate nut brownie, and I end up putting in milk chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate, and white chocolate bits, and the nuts as well. So today we're trying it a little bit different. This will be the first time I'm making it with a gluten-free flour. A friend of mine.
Good. I'll take it. I won't feel guilty.
Yeah, well, you know, there's only a half a cup of flour in it, so it's not a difficult change to make. With gluten-free flours, you know, it's not like, and this is one that a friend of mine in Orlando makes, Chef Bob Ongst, who has been on a show, you know, a while back. He actually manufactures this flour, or it's his recipe. Someone manufactures it for him because his girlfriend is gluten-free, and he's come up with a wide variety of products. And there's actually a cupcake manufacturer in town who's very well known, who makes all their gluten-free cupcakes with his flour. So it's really kind of cool. So I'm going to give it a whack. Then I'm living dangerously today.
Okay, you're edgy.
I didn't have enough white sugar. I do have some turbinado sugar, but what I decided to do was I also have a bag of coconut sugar.
Coconut sugar. Who ever heard of coconut sugar? Now, why would you have bought that? And what? Wow.
I bought it on one of my trips, and I think it was to Costco, because Costco has all these wonderful things now, which is, I need to start working for Costco is what it is. but anyway, it's an unrefined, and it says, but just as civilized alternative to cane sugar. So they're funny. They have a little bit of a sense of humor, and the smell is unbelievable. And
so that should put some interesting flavor in it.
Well, it doesn't smell like, it doesn't taste like coconut.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell like coconut, but it's got this rich, almost nutty
Yeah, well,
molassesy.
coconut can be very nutty. I mean, in its raw state, it certainly
Yeah.
tastes very nutty.
But it's an organic, non-GMO, sustainable coconut palm tree sugar, and it produces 50 to 75% more sugar per acre than cane sugar, while only using 20% of the resources. So we're going to try it.
So between that and the gluten-free, these are non-guilt. These are
Yeah,
no-guilt brownies.
I'm only using half of the coconut sugar because, you know, I wasn't sure how it would sweeten.
Okay.
This is a brownie that doesn't need to be overly sweet.
Yeah, I don't like it overly sweet.
Well, because you have all the chips in it too. So, you know, they're going to also offset some of that. So I figured I'll use kind of half and half and see where it goes. Now, we're asking a question, any gluten-free flour brand you recommend? I have used the King Arthur blend pretty successfully. And I've also read, there's a book out by Alice Medrick called Flavor Flours. And this is Alice Medrick's recipe for brownies that I'm using today. And she talks about a bunch of different flours that are good, just even if you aren't gluten-free, because they add some distinction and flavor. So someone had told me once that teff, I believe it is, goes really well with chocolate. So if I wasn't using this, I might just try teff. And again, because it's only a half a cup of flour, it's not something you're kneading in it to make substance in it. It's just kind of almost a filler at this point. I don't want to call it that, but it's not the most important part of the brownie. Okay, so I mean that's pretty much it. So we're going to get to making it. It's not difficult to make. I need a wire whip. Let me grab that.
Well, this will be interesting. Sounds like different kind of ingredients than a typical brownie. So
Yeah.
change it up.
And I have made this. It's been a while since I've made this, so I'm going to refer to my. And I did put a link in for this recipe, the regular recipe, up higher if you want to look at and the screen before everybody came in. There's a link to the recipe. So it says preheat your oven to 325 degrees and get a 9-inch square baking pan, which I have right here. And I've lined it with parchment, and I've kind of folded the parchment in on the sides because I want an overhang. And the reason you want the overhang is you want to be able to lift them out. Okay. Ooh, brilliant. You want to be able to lift them out. You can use foil. I would have used foil, but I grabbed the parchment first. I buy big rolls of this, and it's a lot cheaper. It's actually from Costco. And use it. So we've got that down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to combine the butter, and I need to get my cold eggs out.
And you know, I've talked about baking in the kitchen before, and I'm just going to intersperse a few things throughout the show about baking in the kitchen and in terms of designing the kitchen for it, substitutions, things like that.
Okay.
So
we're going to get started here, and I'll put the butter in, not the eggs. I'm going to put the butter in, and this is a stick and a quarter of butter. And let me show you something else I got. This is a really inexpensive scale from OXO.
Yes, I have one of those.
And you can set it for pounds or kilograms. What I did was I weighed like the cocoa. I wanted to weigh the cocoa, but I put the empty bowl. I have copies of those bowls on here and zeroed it out once it was on and then put the cocoa in it. I measured it by hand because it's supposed to be a cup and a quarter and 2 tablespoons, which is kind of odd. Yeah. And I had down 105 grams, and it actually came out perfectly. Oh. So this is not a bad thing to have when you're baking. All right, so I've got my butter in here, and now I'm going to mix in the cocoa, the sugar.
Okay, so what kind of cocoa?
It is a Dutch cocoa of the high fat content that I actually picked up at a place called Penzies. They used to have, it's a spice shop. Used to be one in Winter Park, and they closed it. I was very sad that they closed it. But you can order it online. But you want to use the best cocoa you can possibly find for this.
I like that. And, you know, there's so many kinds. But, yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're going to go to the trouble, you know, try to get the best, you know, the best.
But it's not going to cost that much more. I mean, you can use like Hershey's cocoa if you want to, and I have. It's not going to be bad, but if you can find some really good stuff, get it. And I just put a pinch of salt in there. So we've got butter, sugar, cocoa, and salt in my metal bowl over a double boiler. Now, Alice is brave. Alice says to put this in a frying pan.
Oh my gosh.
Well, not the mixture, but the bowl.
Wow.
But to me, that means it's coming in contact with the pan itself. And although we don't have anything in here that's really going to burn or get bad, I kind of feel better using the double boiler method.
Mm-hmm.
And then all we're going to do here is I put the butter in first in hopes, and it is a little bit soft. It's not terribly soft because I want that to melt. And this is really the only tricky part, if there is a tricky part.
Yeah, that's a totally different way of doing brownies, but I mean, just as easy.
Yeah. So we're going to let this melt. So if you want to talk a little while we're doing that and letting the butter melt, all I'm going to do now is just allow this to melt and then and stir it around while we're doing, and then we're going to get to the rest of it.
Sounds good. Well, as some of you, some of our viewers may know or may not know, I'm a kitchen designer for many, many years up here on Long Island. And I've designed so many different kinds of kitchens, and you know, every kitchen is should be to the personality of the owner, obviously. You do a kitchen once or twice in your life. So if we're talking about someone who bakes quite a bit, let's say quite a bit, and then there would be different criteria for those who don't bake quite a bit. You know, some people like, you know, we always hear about marble, a marble surface. That can come, for example, on an island, kitchen island. It can even go in a smaller kitchen on a cart. You can get a cart. You know, the carts I love are by John Boos, John B-O-O-S. And I mean, they come oftentimes with beautiful butcher block tops, and you can also bake. You can also do your baking and rolling out on a wood surface as well, which is also, you know, a lot of people prefer wood surfaces. If you have an engineered stone countertop, such as a Corian, a silestone type of surface, you know, that's ideal for baking. You know, it stays cool, it's easy, you know, to manipulate. So, you know, first you want to think of the amount of space that you want to allot to a particular countertop surface. You also want to keep your baking, your bakeware and so on and so forth, and your equipment, you know, in a particular area. Put it in its own area. I'll tell you something that's really funny. Yes, many of us may have the beautiful pottery on our countertop where we have the utensils, you know, for our cooking utensils. As you know, sometimes chef always has these simple but profound you know, tips. I don't know if this is one, but for me it was, have multiple pottery, you know, pieces of pottery for your utensils, but then have a bunch of wooden spoons and have one pottery for wooden spoons. So you can always pick your favorite quickly. I have one just for whisks, you know, like big whisks, smaller whisks, in between whisks. Have another one for, you know, other specialty, say some random pieces. Have another one for particular spoons, other types of spoons. Or you're baking, what are they called? I don't know. The things you know, wipe up the bowl with. What is it called? Spatula. Spatula. Yeah, so the point is organize, and you may not want to keep all of your utensils in one spot if you don't bake frequently. So then split up your utensils, different parts of the kitchen or, you know, other places. So that's a few beginning tips.
We have a few questions here, and one of the questions was about the coconut sugar, and I've never used it before, and that's one of the reasons I'm using half. You could probably use it all, and I may use it all in something else because I kind of like the flavor it's giving, and it's got to be better than the plain old white sugar to begin with, because that's kind of, you always hear it's evil. So I will have to let you know and follow up on as I use it more. Another question was, couldn't you just melt the butter then add the cocoa and sugar, salt. No double boiler needed. And, you know, I have often thought that. And I think if it was that easy, that Alice would have done that. But I'm trying to think of the reason is what the problem is when you melt the butter and pour it in, I think it's not going to blend. You've got a little air in that butter as you're putting it in, and although it is melting as it's going in, there may be a little something to it that changes the texture or changes the structure. And a lot of things in baking is about structure. And so that could very well be why. And like I said, I can't imagine her not doing it if there wasn't a reason to do it. So.
You know, that's such a good point to sometimes just, just trust the process.
Every time I do it, I say the same thing. Well, why don't I just melt it? And I'm probably going to try that someday, and I'm willing to bet it will work. But will they be as really good? I don't know. So that's something.
Yep.
Butter cools down a little bit when you melt it, and then add the dry ingredients. Double boiler is a safer method. Well, that's a good point. But again, you know, there's some things that I change because I understand it. Baking, I don't understand quite as well, so I try to stay with a lot of what they tell us to. Okay? So, all right, so this has got to cool down a little bit, and it's doing that because we're going to mix some eggs into it. And we want to let that, well, first we're going to put some vanilla in. And she says to use a wooden spoon. I do have wooden spoons, but I've never been a real big...
maybe she wrote the recipe before the silicone ones got popular. I love those.
Here's one thing that I'm not doing with a wooden spoon, so I am breaking that rule on that. And I've been making it that way since I've been making it, so no ill effects from that. All right, so now we're going to put in the eggs one at a time. And this is the part that cracks me up. As she says to whip it vigorously with a wooden spoon. And if you've ever tried to whip anything with a wooden spoon, vigorous is not a word I would use with it.
Yeah, no, it may depend on the spoon. I have a bunch of different sizes of wooden spoons. So I don't know. I would have put my finger in there before you put the eggs in.
Oh, I'm telling you.
I absolutely would have.
I know how good it comes out, which is probably why I didn't. So I'm going to put the other egg in. And this is one of the few times that I call for cold eggs. And again, not really sure why, but Alice is a master baker. And
she said cold eggs. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, normally I tell you to, like, especially when you're making cakes and stuff, you want them at room temperature.
Yeah.
Because they mix with the butter. They tend to do bad things. So, all right. So we want to just whip this. All right.
Nice and smooth.
Yeah, it's going to get thick. It's going to get a little shiny. And you'll start to see it turn shiny the more you mix it. And that's the point you really want to get it to. Is where it starts to thicken up a little. You'll feel it stiffen. And it's right about there. Okay, so now that I've gotten it to this stage of the game, where it's thick and it's shiny, now I'm going to add in the flour. We've got a half a cup of flour, and I'm just going to kind of start to fold that in. I'm not going to whip this real hard because I'll have flour everywhere. And you can put it in a little at a time if you want. But I'm just going to get to it and mix it in.
So does it matter? You know, when you fold in ingredients, sometimes you have to do it so gently, or you have to only do it, does it matter for this? Can you?
Well, I'm not going to put it in a mixer and do it because I think it would put too much air into it.
That's kind of what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I'm doing this by hand. Well, it's not a lot of flour, so it's not something you really have to work at.
Because like with biscuits and muffins, you have to be careful how you fold in the ingredients.
Well, you don't want to overbeat it because it gets tough.
Yeah.
This being gluten-free flour, it's probably not going to get as tough as it would if you were using a regular flour, because what you're doing is you're affecting the gluten in the flour.
Okay.
So, all right, so we've got that. We've got in the flour better. You can no longer see it. And then once it's in, beat vigorously again. So let's do that. Just give it a quick
Boy, I don't know, Chef. These past 2 days, you've had a workout with your arm.
Well, next week, I thought it was the Thanksgiving one. Next week, we're making scones on Tuesday, which is really easy to do, and pizza on Wednesday.
Oh, perfect. Love it.
All right, so now that this is done, I'm going to add in my chips. So I've got chocolate, and that is milk chocolate. I've got white chocolate, and those are two of Lisa's favorites, so that's one of the reasons I use them. And then I've got some semi-sweet. So I'm not just putting all sweet. And if you want to use bittersweet, by all means, use bittersweet. And then I've got some pecans. And they're not a deal breaker. If you want to leave nuts out, feel free to leave nuts out. It's up to you. If you want to use walnuts, that's fine too. So at this point, all I'm going to now I want to get a spoon. Okay.
Yeah.
Now is when you want to taste this and just kind of.
Look at that. That looks great.
Oh yeah. All right. So that's it. That's your brownie. So now I'm going to take my pan, and you really don't need to spray this because it is parchment. So I'm just going to pop this down in my pan. Chocolate goodness out of here. The smell is just lovely. And I'm just going to smash this down a little bit. I do have an offset spatula that I could go get, but I don't really need it for this.
But you know what I see about this method and this recipe is that you're not using a whole lot of equipment. You're not using the big mixer. There's no big things to wash. You really only have very few, utensils, and you just have the mixing bowl and the pan.
Yeah. Okay.
Who doesn't love that? Not making a mess in the kitchen with all those pieces.
Okay, so this is done.
That looks, oh my gosh.
Thick. I mean, see, it's not going to move.
Amazing.
It's in there. So this is going to go into the oven, and it's going to go in the oven for about 25 minutes.
Wow.
So you guys won't get to see them come out. But since this is a new recipe, I will be posting the gluten-free version with the coconut sugar. And I don't taste any. I just tasted the chocolate. Don't taste anything unusual. We'll see how it bakes, because sometimes you do get a little bit of a difference in flavor when you bake.
But this version, this is the first time you're doing this version.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so that's that on it. If anyone wants to come in, let me unlock the seat, and anyone wants to join us.
And how long in the oven? About 25 minutes, you said.
25 minutes, yeah. We probably aren't going to get to see them come out, but I will post some pictures later.
Yeah. I mean, baking, sometimes it's different times of the year. I like to bake cookies, we'll bake pies, of course, during Thanksgiving. And, what's wrong with the occasional, brownie? Just like that, very easy.
And I just backed out of the other show, so there's nothing on there, but it's just the two of us now. So if anybody wants to come in and ask some questions, Karen, you want to pop in? Say hi, feel free. Anybody else out there wants to pop in? Feel free. We have some time. Got a few more minutes before the show concludes. Any other questions about there? Let's see. Would dusting the white chips, tablespoon of flour beforehand preserve the white color? They stay pretty white. They do. If you go to the link of the post, you'll see a picture of them, and you can see them distinctly in the picture. They do stay pretty good.
Now that's what I wonder if it's a swirl, kind of. I think that could be fun too. Kind of swirl. Why can't you swirl it, a knife while it's still before it sets?
Well, yeah, you could. It would be kind of hard because they're going to set fairly quickly. If you wanted to swirl, you could melt it ahead of time and put it through and swirl it. But it's just something magical about, and I would probably swirl it more towards the top than the interior if you wanted to do the swirl. There's something magical about when you cut those brownies and you see all those chips.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but wait a minute. Don't they, so they don't run all together?
Oh, no, not at all. They're distinctive. I was trying to copy the picture to put it in, and I just haven't mastered that yet. Thank you, Sherry. I haven't mastered that yet to put it in the sidebar, but no, they stay distinctive. Let's see if I posted it on Instagram. I don't know if you'll be able to see it this way. Find it. Use that one.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's, wow. Oh, that's beautiful.
Okay.
It's just appetizing. My goodness.
Yeah, so they look at the milk chocolate ones get a little light brown. The white chocolate is pretty much in there. And the only thing you kind of lose appearance of is the semi-sweet because they're pretty much the same color as the brownie.
Mm-hmm.
You still get the extra flavor from them. So it's a wonderful thing.
So tell me something. So how often do you bake? Really? You don't bake that often, right?
No, I haven't been because I'll eat it, which is not a good thing.
No.
I love cakes and brownies and pies and tiramisu. And, you know, I did not share any of that tiramisu. I pretty much ate it all. Well, I got a package in the mail. You want to see what came?
I sure do.
It is from my friends at Cabot Cheese.
Oh, cabbage cheese. Yes, my favorite. Extra sharp.
A few times a year,
Wow.
they send me these gift packages just because they love me, and I love them too.
Oh, yeah.
They don't expect anything in return.
Mm-hmm.
A little card.
Nice.
And it's all, you know, and I have more freezer pouches because of this.
Oh, that's a big box.
A new copy of Sift, the King Arthur Flour magazine.
Wow.
Uh-oh. Now we're talking. King Arthur Flour.
Oh, fantastic.
Because, you know, Cabot's in the same general area as they're in that New England, Vermont area.
Yes, they're in Vermont. Yeah.
This must be like a King Arthur Flour packet. We got it. Here we go. That's what I was.
Come on. Let's see it.
The cheese.
I hope it's a sharp cheddar.
But see, this is another thing I love is they keep sending me these, and I have so many of these freezer packs.
Oh, yes, I know I get them too.
Okay, we have cheese. Let's see what we have. We have garlic and herb, which I have used, and it is wonderful.
Oh, yes.
Extra sharp.
Extra sharp, great. Nice. See, I knew it. I knew you'd get that extra sharp.
And aged. The Cabot Alpine Cheddar, which is wonderful. And every now and then, let's see if there are any in here. Oh, here we go. We have a free 5-pound bag of flour. Dennis, happy fall from Cabot Cheese and King Arthur Flour. We're looking forward to seeing your quiche feast creations. Well, I may just have to make a quiche because real men do eat quiche.
That's
So gotta love it when they send me all kinds of neat things. I'm like a little kid. I got a magnet.
I know. I love those things too. I go to the trade shows or, you know, around the holidays, different brands, or I go to brand events. I get so many things.
Here, Jordan wants to come in. We don't know Jordan, but we'll see what happens. If Jordan can come in. Hey, Jordan. Can't hear you. Well, unfortunately, we can't hear you.
Well,
Oh, well.
oh, well.
Thanks for dropping in, though. It's pretty cool. All right, so far that's it. Brownies are in the oven baking. They got about another 15 minutes or so to go, and we will bring them. I'll bring them out in a while, let them cool, cut them up, and then try one and pass them out to the neighbors so I don't eat them all.
Yeah, I wish I could pass them out to, I mean, here we are, you know, we came, you know. We should pass them out here.
I know. And if guys get ready for us next week, like I said, Tuesday, I'm going to be showing you how to make scones. And that's one thing I do love. I make them in a food processor, so they're pretty quick and easy to make. You can change them up a little bit. It's the kind of scone, like we make our scones a little different than they do in the UK. Their scones are generally round and biscuit looking, and ours are generally triangular.
Yes, yeah.
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 There's just a few little tricks to doing that.
I love scones. Cranberry, lemon, blueberry, raspberry. Love scones.
You can do so much with them, and then it's so easy to make a glaze for them. So we'll be doing that on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we're going to get down and dirty with some pizza dough. And it's not as difficult as you think. If you can use a stone, you can use a grill, you can use your oven. It's really not hard to make pizza.
Well, let's shoot for New York or Philly pizza. You know, thin. You're going for a thin crust?
This is going to be a Florida pizza.
Okay.
It's not going to be a terribly thin crust, only because of the kind of oven we have and how it's a little harder to place it. But it'll be a pretty good thin crust. It's not going to be Sicilian. So.
Okay. And do you see the question?
What is the consistency of the brownies once baked? The mix seems much thicker, solid than what I'm used to. It is as long as you do not over bake them, it is a melt in your mouth consistency. The chocolate, because there's not a lot of flour in it, the chocolate is just kind of very lovely. Now, if you bake them too long, they're going to get a little dry. They're still going to be delicious, but they're not going to have that real creamy texture. And do you post your ingredients anywhere? Yes, Sherry, there is there is a link for it up in the top. Let me see if I can find it, if I can get to it. I will repost it for everyone. Posted it before the show. Yet. Keep going back, keep going back. There it is. Let's see. Now if I can copy, paste. It's always an adventure with the mouse.
Oh, yeah.
Copy. Now get back to, I have to do this a little faster. Here we go. Paste.
I mean, you don't even have to get any special tins for it or any special, you know, they don't last.
No, well, you know, to put them away. No, they don't. They really don't. And I used to cut them in regular brownie size bites, but a normal for me, like I would cut those into 9 pieces. That's kind of a lot of chocolate anymore.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm wondering too? I meant to ask, what do you think about, could you make them somehow into little balls? Could you have like a melon or bigger than a melon thing and coat it with flour and then, you know, scoop
I don't think I would use a melon because you're going to end up with a lot of leftover, but cut them into smaller pieces. Cut them in, and you know what's a good way, and I have not tried it with these brownies specifically, but at work, when I would make a sheet pan of brownies, when you drag your knife through it, it makes an unholy mess. But a plastic knife goes right through it.
Does it?
Yes.
Huh.
Don't know why, but one day one of these kitchen workers said, "What are you doing? You're making a mess." I'm like, "Okay." You know, they're yelling at me, the manager. He says, "Go get a plastic knife." So I went and I went, "Oh my God. Life-changing." There we go.
Another life-changing, profound tip. I'm going to do that.
Old plastic knife cuts through them, although these are not that big. And generally, if you heat your knife a little or run some warm water over it, and because you don't have to drag it through as much, you can almost place it at one end and cut through. Mm-hmm. It's always the dragging that makes the mess. So if you just cut through, you can probably be all right with a regular knife. But now ice cream is a great side. Oh, yes, it is. Cut it in mini squares and put in muffin cups. Oh, yeah, and freeze for just a bite. Absolutely. Yeah. But, you know, a lot of times what I do when I freeze something like that that's cut up, I will put them on a tray or something, cut up, separated, put them into the freezer, let them freeze pretty good, then bring them out and then put them in a Ziploc. You know, they may not be as pretty, but they're still going to come out. You just don't want to let them freeze together because then it's hard to get them apart. Mm-hmm. But if you freeze them and then put them in something, it's easy to do. But, yeah. So maybe I'll do that with some of them and try and not remember they're in there. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming. I'm glad you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back next week. I am going to West Palm Beach Thursday, and I'm going to be doing some shows there, but I won't know until I get there exactly what we're doing. So if you want to check back with us and see what kind of shows I'm doing there, I may just open up the computer and have coffee with you guys in the morning, or if I'm out somewhere where I can do it, I'll do that too.
Sounds good. Well, that was just beautiful. That was a beautiful batch of brownies with all those colors and textures. I mean, it had it all.
Very good.
Thanks for that.
So I will see you all later. Bye-bye.